So tonight I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about daddy and the things that I used to do with my father when I was growing up as a kid. So your grandfather was an outdoors person and I'm not. However, when I was younger, like from the ages 5 and up, he would take me along on all of his adventures. So a lot of times, Grandpa would take me fishing. Actually, he used to have a kayak, like a um, like a 7 foot kayak that you just paddle out in the ocean, and I would go with him. And I remember we would go to like Richardson's, and or that area, like down there, and just take it out and take our fishing poles into the ocean and just cast it out. I don't ever remember catching anything, but we used to do that. And at the same time, he would actually take me to the beach a lot. Like, I was literally his little buddy at the beach almost every other day. He would pick me up from school, and I would do my homework. He would. This was the routine actually. He would pick me up. So this is like when I was in fourth grade up. Um, when so he would pick me up from school, and he would take me to uh, Borders. Okay, that was one of our hangout spots. He would pick me up from school, 2:15 p.m. and your grandfather and I would go to Borders Books and Music. That's what it was called, and I would take my homework, my backpack, my pencils, my pens, and I would sit in the cafe at Borders, and do my homework for a couple hours or hours at a time. Like it was either there on the weekdays after school or at Bear's Coffee Shop downtown Hilo on the weekends. And so I would go to the Borders. My dad would have his friends there, and I was his little buddy, and I would do homework. And I would order a bagel with a chocolate chip cookie. It was a cream cheese bagel and a chocolate chip cookie. Almost every time I would get the same thing from the little cafe shop in there. And yeah, I would just do my math or English. In fact, I know there are pictures somewhere of your grandfather and I sitting in Borders, and I'm doing my homework, and he's like reading the paper. I gotta find it. It's classic. And so yeah, I would do that, and after my homework was done, I would kind of use Borders Books and Music as my playground. And I remember I would go through the magazine aisles and look at magazines. And I remember this. If there was a magazine in like a closed slip, like a plastic, I would bring it to Grandpa, and I would be like, "Dad, can I buy this magazine?" And he's like, "Well, you should look at it before you buy it." And I remember he would make me open up the plastic wrap of the magazine and literally look at the magazine. And I was just like, "Dad, isn't this like stealing?" He's like, "No, we're not taking it out of the store." Yeah, and that was funny. Yeah, that was pretty funny. And most of the time, I wouldn't buy the magazine because I didn't really like it. And he's like, "See, I told you to read it before you buy it." But yeah, I remember that. And I used to go around to the children's book area. Um, this is Walgreens now, by the way. But I would go to the children's book area and look at like the book series like Animorphs and yeah, uh, Magic Treehouse were a couple of my favorites when I was like in fifth grade. Um, but yeah, so like your grandfather and I would hang out at Borders when he would pick me up after school, like almost every other day, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. um, yeah, so we would do that, and after that, so the routine was he would pick me up from school, and we'd go to Borders, do my homework, and then he had a house over on Naniakea Street, and it's part of Waikea. It's above Waikea Waina. A little bit. Actually, it's a little. Yeah, it's below the fire station, and so we would go from school to Borders. Dad would do his homework there, and then I would sleep over at his house on Naniakea Street, and um, it was a small house next to the golf course, and Daddy, in his youth, would go onto the golf course, like just walk on with a single golf club and a golf ball. Like it was a it was the golf. I don't know golf at all, okay, but it was a golf club that you use to use on the green, a putter. I think that's what it was called. Worst golfer ever here, but yeah, I would walk onto the golf course to amuse myself. Sometimes if I could convince your grandfather, aka if I could bother him enough, he would come with me, and we would just walk onto the golf course and do a couple holes, or one, because I was so young then. Like one felt like eternity because it was so long. But yeah, that's another thing that we would do. Another thing that we would do is so if I stayed over at his house like on a weekend, we would wake up early, and we would actually take our bikes and bike from his house on Naniakea Street to Bear's Coffee Shop downtown and have breakfast. It was really fun. So like that's a long bike ride for a kid, okay? Like that was maybe to the Bear's Coffee Shop, it was like 5 miles, but it was all downhill. But still, you know what I mean. It was quite a trip for a 9-year-old, 10-year-old. But yeah, we would do that, and then we'd get down there, and I would always order a bacon, egg, and cheese omelet, but it was in a bowl, and it was like filled up. But yeah, it was bacon, egg, and cheese omelet, and I'll get that every single time. And a side order of a bagel, a plain bagel with cream cheese every single time. And so yeah, we would bike down there on a Saturday morning. Talk about exercise, crazy. Can't even imagine doing it now. But yeah, we would get up on Saturday morning and bike down there, eat the breakfast, and then bike back, which was exhausting to say the least. Yeah, like, and that would be like our thing, actually. I mean, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't bike there every time. Like, he had a car, okay, but like we would do that often enough that I remember doing it. Yeah, so like it was funny. Your grandfather and I, like, you could almost bet on us being at either Borders or Bears, and if he was there, I was most definitely there. Like I wanted to be just like him. um, yeah, it was good times. So after that, like I said, your grandfather was an outdoors person, so we would go to the beach quite a lot. He would take me to the black sand beaches over on the other side, near Puna area. The black, I'm not sure what it's called, but yeah, the black sand beaches. We would go there, and we would spend hours at the beach, hours, and I'm talking hours, like 7 hours at the beach. Yes, I wore sunscreen because grandma's a doctor. Well, your grandfather was a physician assistant, almost, but like, yeah. So I would wear sunscreen, obviously. But like, we would spend hours at the beach, and I would have to, like I didn't really like it. I'm not a beach person, but um, yeah, I wanted to hang out with daddy, with my daddy, and I would amuse myself. He would, your grandfather and I would build sandcastles in the sand, and your grandfather would take me just swimming and splash water at me, pick me up and throw me in the water. All of that fun stuff, stuff I'll do with you, audio. Um, yeah. So yeah, I was at the I was pretty dark once upon a time. um, Another beach we used to go to was Richardson's. I think I talked about that one. Richardson's we would go to a lot, and your grandfather would also take me bodyboarding at like Beach over there, driving out towards Pinky's underneath the bridge. Like he would take me bodyboarding quite a bit. Like, and it was pretty fun. Um, and it was fun because your grandfather was pretty good at it. And taught me how to do it. Yes, I actually do know how to do that. Um, but yeah, that we did that for maybe uh, about 4 years, 5 years, all through middle school, from sixth grade to eighth grade. I bodyboarded a lot with your grandfather, and yeah, like he taught me how to catch a wave, how to duck dive under a wave. When the waves come in and you go, it crashes, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Uh, and yeah, he taught me how to turn and all that stuff. I don't know if I would be good at it anymore, but I did do it at one time, and so like we used to do that together, and um, so yeah, like I would spend a lot of time with him just doing a lot of outdoor stuff. One time a few times we went camping up. Um, One time actually we went. I think I was about 15 years old, and we went to Rainbow Falls. I think it was Rainbow Falls. Um, it's the falls that is not near the hospital, whatever it's called. Anyway, it's one of the big ones, and we had to hike. Yeah, Rainbow Falls, I think. Well, anyway, your grandfather took me hiking. It was like, so like there's a waterfall, and then you have to hike like a couple miles back, and then you hit another waterfall behind it. And we were kind of like scaling on this cliff, and I was like freaking out. And he's like, "This is the stuff you'll remember. You're having fun." I'm like, "I'm not," but the big things like that. He's right. I do remember, even if I wasn't really into it much at that time. But yeah, I can also tell you that I told you about we used to ride bikes to Bears, but we also used to take our bikes and just ride around, like out in Hamakua. He would take me out riding in like through pastures of like cane fields and stuff, and like it's pretty scenic out there, and that would actually be a good activity to do with you. Maybe not ride a bike, but we could go walking out there, and that would be pretty fun. We should do that. Um, the three of us, with your brother. I mean, the four of us, because mom has to come too. But yeah, we would also go to Kona quite often. Your grandfather and I, and we would go to Hapuna Beach, because like the beach bums, like the beach bum that we were. We would go and spend hours over at Hapuna and um, just hang out in the sand over there because it's a nice white sand beach, and it's a lot of tourists, but it's nice over there and it's easy to spend a lot of time. But yeah, your grandfather and I would just go. He and I alone would just go over there and just kick it, and then we would actually go. We would spend like 5 hours at the beach, and then go to Kona and just walk around. um, like look at the shops and stuff. That was pretty cool too. Um, yeah, most of the stuff, honestly, like most of the stuff we did was outside. Even when your grandfather would take me on trips to the mainland, like to New York to visit um, his family, his side of family, like most of the activities we did was outside. In fact, your grandparents had my grandparent, my dad, Grandpa Mark's parents had a a house near this lake called Lake George, and it's a huge lake, and it has a lot of mountains around it. And he would take me walking all around the mountain areas up there, like, and we would do that like all day, and it was it was quite a hike, but it was really scenic out there. So like yeah, whether it would be in Hawaii and we were just hanging out and or yeah, like hanging out and doing outdoor stuff here, we were doing if we were somewhere else we would be doing outdoor activities there too. Um, One time actually I had to meet your grandfather in New York City, and he was in New York City. So I was 15 years old. Yeah, I was 15. It was December. Yeah, I think this was back in 2005. Yeah, 2005 December. So um, I was up in Albany with uh, your great grandmother, Sue, and I had to meet your grandfather in New York City because he wanted to take me to the Macy's Day Parade. So took the train down from Albany to Manhattan by myself, and that was the first time I had actually been on a train and traveled like that by myself ever. Um, that was quite an experience. I remember your grandfather's sister, Beth, she was rushing me to the train station so I could catch the train, and we were a little bit late, and she was like, okay, we're gonna use it as an excuse is you're gonna be like, you came all the way from Hawaii, and you have to be let on this train because you have to see your dad in New York. And yeah, I remember she was feeding me that story, so I told that to the guard, and it worked, and I got onto the train. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have made that train ride down there. But yeah, forgot about that. Yeah, I took the train down there from Albany to Manhattan, which took like, actually, I'm not sure. It took hours. But yeah, I remember sitting next to the window and looking at all the scenery. It was just all snow, and I remember the person with like a cart came down the aisle, just like an airplane, and like they had food for you to buy and stuff. Yeah, so I made that trip, and then I met your your grandfather down in Central Station or something. It's one of the big ones. We disembarked the train there, and you know, I this was before cell phones. Huh, crazy. Yeah, yeah, this was before cell phones. So actually, I had to call on a landline before I even got on the train. Like, Dad, you got to meet me at the train station at, I think it was like 9 p.m. and find me in like thousands of people walking around. And like, just as I thought I'm not gonna find Dad, here your grandfather comes, being like, John, and like, honestly, like, it only took him like 10 minutes to find me, and I was so lost. I was just a wee little boy in New York City trying to find my way, and your grandfather found me. And it was freezing. But yeah, I remember walking through Manhattan with your grandfather, and your grandfather, despite not liking the city, knows how to navigate that city quite well, and he kind of we people in New York City are kind of rough. I mean, they're rough in all cities, but it's a bit different there. And like, he showed me how to act. Yeah, your grandfather is pretty colorful and interesting. And like, yeah, so he picked me up from the train station, and we went to the hotel. And the next day we went and watched the Macy's Day Parade, which was pretty cool. And Audio, you just went to your first parade this past Saturday, so it was like that, but just bigger. We can watch it on TV next year. I think it's in November. That's why. But yeah, so we watched the Macy's Day Parade together, and I actually remember after the parade we walked by this like electronics shop, and I wanted this game for a Game Boy. I think it was Bomberman, and your grandfather went in there and talked the price down of the game. Like, I remember the guy was like, "Oh, it's $30," and my dad was like, "That's too much. I can go elsewhere." And he started walking out the door, and the guy was like, "Oh, wait, hold up. I'll sell it to you for this much," and you got it whittled down. It was funny. But yeah, we had a lot of adventures together. Your grandfather actually had a motorcycle at one point. It was a Harley Davidson. Yeah, it was a Harley Davidson, and he would take me riding on it. So motorcycle, like, he would be on front, and I would hold on to him or the seat, but usually I would hold on to him because it was more secure. And yeah, we would drive like around the Hamakua coast on that thing, and that was pretty fun. And I remember though, when it would rain and on a motorcycle, because you're going like 50 miles an hour, and when the rain would hit me, it would feel like a punch, actually, like a needle going in you, and that would hurt. Like, I mean, obviously we would wear long clothes, but like, I was like 9 years old, and man, so talk about dangerous. You are not allowed to ride a motorcycle ever, Audio. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I would be on the back of the motorcycle holding on to your grandfather in like a coat, like a black motorcycle coat, and with a helmet, obviously. But like, the rain would hit you, and it's like, oh, it would hurt like crazy. This one time we were going out over the Hamakua coast, and it was right before you hit the first gulch, I think, and it started to rain, and we were going like 60, kind of speeding. But yeah, like, it was like pouring, and so we had to stop underneath this overlay bridge and just like wait there, because like, I was crying, and I was like, "Dad, I don't want to." So so I made him stop. I need water. Okay, I'm okay. choked on my spit. But yeah, as I was saying, no motorcycles for you, audio. That is way too dangerous. I'm just telling you stories of what Daddy used to do. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with your grandfather. We did a lot of fun things, and I'm sure I'm missing some stuff that we used to do together. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the things that Daddy used to do with his dad, and I'm looking forward to making many, many memorable memories with you because I love you. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video, and yeah, okay, mwah, love you.